Hello again, friends, and welcome to another segment of Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review. As you can see by the array of wonderful bottles in front of me here, we're going to change gears a little bit here this week, and we're going to do Spirits of the Week. Specifically, I have 4 gins that I want to share with you that all have a little bit of a story behind them, and it's just to change the pace up a little bit since we have been focusing on wine a little bit in the last couple segments. So I hope you had a great Labor Day, and welcome and cheers. So let me start by saying the 4 gins that we're going to feature tonight are right here in front of you. We have the Nordeste gin, we'll talk about that. We have a gin called Empress, and we'll talk about that beautiful color. We have a gin called Dingle, and we have a gin called Dragon Dance. And like the wines, all of these gins have a very specific flavor profile. Their ingredients are different. The cocktails that you can make with them can be similar, but they also have their signature cocktails as well for each one of them. So after we finish, I promised you when we did all of these segments that I would make sure that every one of these, to the extent possible, would be available for you to purchase. Now I can tell you honestly, as we get into this tonight, some of these are only recently available, and that's why I'm really excited about doing this segment with you, because every one of these gins is available right here in Pennsylvania, and I think most of them, except for the Nordeste, are also available at Total Wine in Delaware, and maybe at Total Wine in New Jersey. I don't know where else you might shop. So let's start our stories and begin. What you see me sipping here is a drink made with Nordeste gin, but it also has some wine in it. So before I get to that, always good to wet the throat before you start to talk. So let's talk about this first one. Beautiful bottle. It's called Nordeste Atlantic Galician Gin. This one comes from Spain. It comes from Galicia. Let me hold that bottle up there for you. It comes from Galicia in the northeast corner of the Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and Portugal. The name Nordeste comes from the north wind that blows in off of the Atlantic and lets the Galicians know, or as we told you before, Galicians, lets them know that the good weather is moving into the area. Now, one of the things that's very unique about this Nordeste, if you remember, if you're following Doc G's segments very closely, way back in the earlier part of the summer, we did a spot on Albarino. And Albarino happens, if you remember, I should ask you a question, but I can't do that right now, but I'm just going to tell you, Albarino also comes from Galicia. So, lo and behold, it is the alcohol base for this gin. It's very, very unique. Along with the, so they distill, just to make it clear again, not to go into a long thing about gin because we already did that, the distilled base for this gin is actually a wine. You can take alcohol from anything and distill it. They do that for this gin, so it gives it a very unique flavor profile. And I'm telling you, I highly recommend all these, or I wouldn't have them on the table. So this one is excellent. Very, very unique. So along with the distilled Albarino, there are 11 different botanicals that are used in this gin. And 6 of those botanicals are actually from Galicia, and 5 of them are from other parts of Spain. But they are the following: lemon verbena, bay leaves, glasswort, which is a type of succulent, mint, sage, eucalyptus. You can really, this is the thing that hits me, the eucalyptus comes out here amazing. I always call it rosemary, and rosemary has a little bit of a eucalyptus aroma to it. And when I have a Nordeste gin and tonic, which I'm not going to do for tonight, I just put a rosemary sprig in it, and it just lights up my nose. Fantastic. Also has hibiscus, ginger, cardamom, black tea, and of course, almost all gins resort to adding some, I don't want to say resort to, also include some juniper as part of giving it that gin base. So that is the Nordeste gin. Again, I promise I'll post some stuff post this segment so that you can have a look and a view of the gins yourself. Now, for all of these, every one of these, I chose these for not just a reason, not just for the gin itself. They all have a little bit of a backstory personally for us, my wife and me. And the backstory with this Nordest gin is I have a friend that works in Europe, and he, pre-pandemic, he used to travel, and going through the duty-free shops, he picked up this Nordest gin on the way, and lo and behold, at a party one night at his house, I first tasted it, and I just fell in love with it. So once the pandemic hit, Nordest got cut off. We drank it all, and we couldn't get it anymore. That, my friends, good news, has changed. There's an importer in New York City who is now bringing it into the country, and it is readily available in many outlets across the country. Most specifically, it's available here in Pennsylvania, and I'll get back to that later, but I know you can get this if you want it. So the cocktail that I made with this, I looked on their website and I tried to decide. I didn't want to just make gin and tonics with all of these gins because their gin is so much more versatile. So the drink that you see here, this cocktail is called a Nordestino, or like a northerner. And it contains 1 ounce of this Nordest gin. It contains an Albarino, which I have sitting over here. It's not important for tonight. It's got 1.5 ounces of that. It's got 3 ounces of tonic. It's got a lemon twist, and it has garnished with these 3 wonderful white grapes, which help. It's like a lemon eucalyptus bomb. It is fantastic. It's very light alcohol in terms of the ABV that you would normally have, because there's really not that much wine in it. There's only a shot, less really a shot of gin in it, and it is a wonderful sipper. I know the summer is waning, but you don't have to have this in just the summer. Don't be afraid to have a cocktail any time of the year. You don't really have to swish this one around your mouth. It does the work for you. So it is a fantastic, light, refreshing, like I said, lemony. You can do a little bit of that eucalyptus is coming out, nice and refreshing and cold. The grape tastes fantastic as you have it along with it. So that, my friends, is Nordest. We'll talk about how you can get that in a little while. We'll set that one aside for now, and we'll move on. Keep my little sipper here, because we'll come back to that in a minute. The next gin that you see here, one of the most interesting in the 4 that we're doing here tonight. This gin is called Empress Gin. And a little bit of background on this one. The Empress Gin is a collaboration between the Victoria Distillers and the Fairmont Express Hotel in Victoria, British Columbia. So we're really doing a tour of the world here tonight. We just came from Galicia, Spain. We're now in British Columbia, Canada with this gin. So the unique color to the gin is really what I want to focus on. It comes from an infusion, if any of you have heard of the butterfly pea blossom, which adds this indigo color to it, and it's all natural. There are no stabilizers, there are no additives. The distiller tells you that if you keep this, you actually can see the difference in the color between these two. I've had this one a little longer. They said over time it fades. See, I have a lot of friends who like this stuff. It fades over time, and they kind of recommend that you use it within a year. So the ingredients in here are this butterfly pea blossom, grapefruit peel. They use a little bit of their, believe it or not, they use a little of their tea from the hotel, the Fairmont Empress tea, which helps give it its name. There's cinnamon in it, rose petal, and of course, juniper. Now the thing that they recommend about, well, let me give you the backstory before I move on, because this is another one. Pre-pandemic, in November of 2019, my wife and I went to visit her cousin in Las Vegas, and we were hanging around at the Wynn, and we were sitting around and we ordered a gin and tonic, and the girl came up and said, "Oh, have you tried this yet?" And I think Steve Wynn actually had a little bit of money invested in this, so she brought the glass over, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." But this is why we really liked it. So let me take the way they recommend it, and their featured drink with this gin is to pour it over ice, about 2 ounces. So we're just going to drain this bottle. You notice the color. This one is a little blue. The other one's still a little bit more indigo. This one has faded a little bit. But I want you to watch very closely what's going to happen. If you haven't seen this yet, for you people out there that haven't tried this yet, when you add a little bit of tonic to this drink. Look at that. It turns purple in the glass. And they recommend either a grapefruit or a piece of lemon in there. The citrus helps turn that color. Give it a little stir. I always like to use a larger ice cube in my gin and tonics. I might have told you that before, so that they don't melt down and dilute as quickly. So the flavor in this one is just very, very fresh. A little bit of earthiness, definitely a little bit of citrus, but they have a ton of drinks that they recommend. You do this with a martini, it'll change colors on you as well. So this is called Empress 1908 Gin from British Columbia. Let me take another sip of it. Look at that color. That's the color in the bottle. That's the color when you mix a little tonic and a little citrus with it. Very fresh. Very, very fresh. So let's take number 2 out of the way. And we'll head to number 3. Let me introduce it with my shirt. You notice here I'm not much, no offense, when I'm relaxing I don't like to do these segments with a t-shirt on, but tonight is an exception because the name of this next gin is in big white letters here for you. This one comes from Ireland, and this one is called Dingle Gin because it comes from the city in Dingle in County Kerry on the very eastern corner. If you know Ireland, it sits a little bit, and it's actually the closest eastern point to the United States in Dingle in County Kerry. Now, Dingle Gin is really what is called a London Dry style gin. And London Dry simply means that it's very juniper forward, it's dry. The thing that's unique about Dingle is that, and all you have to do is they tell you everything you kind of need to know on the side of the bottle. This is made from many, almost exclusively, botanicals that are found on the Dingle Peninsula. It's actually on a peninsula. They use rowan berry, which comes from the ash tree, juniper, bog myrtle, heather, chervil, angelica, and coriander. Makes a very fresh and clean gin. And now, their signature drink with this, believe it or not, is to do this. You just take it, pour it again over a large ice cube. This is the way they served it in Dingle when we were there. And I'll give you that backstory in a minute as I make this drink. Take some fresh juniper berries, just sprinkle them in there. You can break them up a little bit, try to smash them. It doesn't really matter. It adds a little bit of extra spice to that. And then they recommend, and I have a blood orange, they say to put in a nice blood orange wedge. Give it a little stir. Now this is a little powder, this is straight. This is straight gin. It's only going to be diluted a little bit by the water. And many times when you're drinking spirits, the ice actually helps to bring out in the vapors of the spirit its flavors. So let's have a go. I don't drink many gins straight, but that is doable. I can tell you I've had this in martinis. I've had it in gins and tonic. I've had it this way now. This is actually the first time I'm experimenting with it this way because in Ireland they actually top this off with a little bit of tonic, which I can do right now for you to give it, see what that does to it. Just adds a little more volume. Actually smooths it out a little bit. It's a little hardcore when you have it there at first. But that is on their website. That is their signature way of serving the Dingle Gin. So you're wondering how did Doc G come up with this Dingle Gin? Well, back in 2018, again, I keep saying pre-pandemic, back in the good times. I have some friends who rented a flat in Dingle for some business, and they invited a group of us to go over there. And lo and behold, we wound up at the Dingle Distillery. And we did a tour. We were able to purchase some bottles, sneak them bad boys home in the suitcase. And I brought myself home, not just the t-shirt, I brought myself home some gin. But you do the math. That was 2018. And I drink my gin. So it was gone. And then lo and behold, in my never-ending research for these different products, it turned up in Pennsylvania. And it is here now. And I hope it's here to stay. I can tell you it's not cheap. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it was a little cheaper when we bought it a couple of years ago. But I'll tell you what, for me, it was worth every penny. So that is Dingle Gin. It's very fresh. It's floral. It's got, there's the, very, 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 very nice. So, again, I got to be careful to sip here. And now, last but not least, we're coming from all the way from Ireland. We're going to set Ireland aside, and we're going to come home to Pennsylvania. And I'm about to make you a drink that will literally almost knock your socks off. There is a distillery not very far from here, for those of you that are familiar with Berks County, in a little town called Elverson, Pennsylvania. I spent some time there back in a former life doing some of my professional work. This was not there then, but there is a place called the Brandywine Branch Distillery. It's in Elverson, just off of Main Street. If you want to check it out, I'll put it on the website for you. But they make a brand of gin that they call the Revivalist Gin. They have 4 seasonal gins that they make, one for each season of the year. And they have this one also that they call Dragon Dance. Think about that. It already sounds kind of, kind of powerful. So the Dragon Dance gin is a juniper forward gin, but the kicker, literally, to this gin is it's infused with jalapeno. And I can tell you, because I've had sips of this, the jalapeno is for real. So it also has a little bit of caraway, followed by a little bit of just other pepper notes because of the pepperiness from the jalapeno. Now, their featured cocktail is called a Dragon's Cup, and I'm actually going to make that for you right now. And the ingredients in a Dragon's Cup are 2 ounces of this. This is the Dragon Dance. The bottle has changed a little bit. My wife is the one that really loves this. Whew, you can smell the jalapeno. You put that in your glass. You take a little bit of lime, drop it in your glass, and a little bit of cucumber. That's to kind of soften the blow, trust me. You muddle all that. If you're familiar with that, you don't have to stir it. Just get those flavors mixed up in the gin. Take a little simple syrup. Add a few calories to help cut out. Although we use stevia simple syrup, saves you the calories. It's safe. Put that in there. You take all that in there. And then you add your ice after you muddle it, because you want those flavors to go around. No business, don't worry about shaking and stirring here. Shake it up. Find yourself, surprise, a nice cocktail sized glass. You take it out. Just let all those ingredients fall right in there. Beautiful, fresh little drink. So you take that. A little bit of garden smell from the cucumber. You can also salt and pepper it. I'm not a spice guy, but you know what? I could force one of these down if I had something to help. Maybe a little bit of bread. Whoo! Ooh, can feel that one right in the throat. Great nose on it. So that's where we're going to end. In Elverson, Pennsylvania, with a little bit of jalapeno. And I can tell you this, you try this in a martini, it's straight heat. And if you love the heat, it's not just heat, it's got a great flavor. Again, I'm not a heat guy, but that is a really good drink. So, with that said, now let's review. Nordeste, available in Pennsylvania. I told you how you could get all of these. This Nordeste is available in PA Wine and Spirits, but you have to go on to the PA Fine Wine and Good Spirits website and order it as a special liquor order. They'll ship it right to your local store, wherever it is you shop. And then you can go get it. And it goes for about $45 a bottle, and then they might add $3 a bottle shipping. Sorry that some of these cost so much, but that's just kind of the way it is right now in the world with tariffs and everything that's going on. So you can get this in PA. Beautiful ceramic looking bottle. So that's your Nordeste. Your next one is your Empress. This one was not available when we came home from Las Vegas. It's available now. So they're doing a very good campaign of trying to get this out to the public. So this is available right here, and you don't have to special order this. If you live in Pennsylvania, go to that website, look it up, you'll find it. This one retails for $38 a bottle, and it's worth it. Your Dingle Gin, this is probably the most expensive one of the batch. I didn't think it would stay in PA, but it is available. I checked the website. There's quantities of it all across the state of Pennsylvania. It's also available, I think, in Delaware. I'm not sure. I do know this. It's really good. And it lists in Pennsylvania for about $50 a bottle. And finally, the Revivalist Dragon Dance, available from the Brandywine Branch Distillery in Elverson, Pennsylvania. The good news on this one is it's only $30 a bottle, as are all of their other gins. So there you go. 4 gins of the week for you. I don't know which one to say goodbye with, so I think I'm going to go back where I started, to the Nordeste. It's very refreshing. Gives me the chance to eat a little fruit, get a little vitamin C. And on that note, I'll say goodbye to you. Have a good week till we see each other again. Cheers and stay safe.